Hello everyone, I'm Fyruz Khan and I'm back again to solve another question paper. I hope your exams are going well. I've often heard complaints from students that they find 9-mark question where they have to choose between different options. They find it difficult, so I was thinking of solving them right in front of you, give you tips, give you tricks. Right, so let's get on with it. Yeah, okay. Okay, so if you look at the video, if you look at my screen, you can see that there is a question here, right? And this question is very common, 9 marks. It often comes in the exam. So I'll read the question. It's a case study, basically. So feedback from some customers suggested they became tired during the bicycle tours. To overcome this problem, CCT is planning to purchase electric bicycles. To fund the cost of purchasing the electric bicycles, CCT is considering two options. Number one, selling assets. Number two, retain profit. Justify which one of the two options CCT should choose. It's a common question. It always comes in the exam. You will get two options. You have to talk about them. And justify means whichever option you choose, you have to justify, give reasons, give evidences why you've chosen that particular option. I have written the first part of it already in the class, and I'll go over it, and I'll write the second part of it with you. So have a look. To fund the cost of purchasing electric bicycles, CCT should choose option one, could choose option one, selling assets. Selling assets involve selling any unused or idle assets to raise money. So I started with, in order to fund the cost of purchasing electric bicycles, CCT could do this, which is selling assets. And then we've defined what selling assets is. Did not spend a lot of time, probably in just one sentence. And that's AO1 knowledge. As you can see, this is AO1 knowledge. I'll circle it. There you go. That's AO1 knowledge. And then if we move ahead, I've explained the point further. This means that CCT, and you can see that each and every time I'm using the case, that's one of the requirements. Use the case study or use the name of the owner or entrepreneur mentioned in the case. This means that CCT could sell off any bicycle equipment CCT does not use and generate extra cash to buy the bicycles. Then I have exaggerated the point again. This also means, which is a part of analysis, AO3, and I have used AO2 application here. I'll highlight it in green, as you can see. Now, this also means that CCT is making good use of any assets they no longer use, right? After that, I've provided a contrasting point, which is, however, CCT may not have surplus assets to sell off that will cover the cost of all the bicycles, which is £550 each. I got this information from the case study. I'll put a bracket here, which is application AO2. As you can see, I have written it here. Yeah, okay. £500 each bicycles, making them less competitive against other bicycle tours. So I've talked about option one. That's what I did in my first paragraph. I started off by acknowledging the question to fund the cost of purchasing electric bicycles. CCT could do this, option one. Option one is selling assets. I've talked about what selling assets mean, right? And then what are the advantages of selling assets? I've talked about that. I've also given one disadvantage of selling assets, right? So I'm done. If we go back at the question, I'm done with selling assets, right? I'm done with this part. So I'll put a double tick. Now we need to talk about retained profit. Okay. So let's start with retained profit. And further expansion. So in the first 3-4 lines, what I did, and let's have a look, let's mark. Be with me, stay with me. You can pause the video, you can take a screenshot of the document that I'm writing on. Okay, I've explained a bit what retained profit is. So we'll use the pink highlighter here. Retained profit is the money left over in the business after paying tax and dividends. Okay, full stop. Also, you'll see that I have not used the word retained anywhere, because retained, it's already there in the term, right? Retained profit. So it is said that if you use the same term to explain that particular term in terms of definition, the examiner won't give you grades. So I've written retained profit is the money left over. I have not used the word retained here. Left over in the business after paying tax and dividends. So this is my knowledge A01. A01 knowledge is here. And then what I did is CCT could use retained profit, for future use, okay, for future use and further expansion. So this is my application here, A02 application. Okay. There we go. Now we'll go forward and write a bit more. Okay, so we'll write some advantages now. Interest. Okay. So I've gone further and I've explained 2 advantages of retained profit, if I'm not mistaken. Let's go over it. So there we go. Retained profit will allow CCT, I've used the case here again, to have immediate access. Look at the keywords, immediate access, okay? You have access to the fund immediately. It's in your bank account, it's with the company. You do not have to apply like a bank loan or like an overdraft. Immediate access to the funds to purchase the bicycles. This also means I've gone further and explained it. Okay, I'm developing the point. That's where you get marks in terms of when you have when you get a question like when you get a question which has 9 marks or 12 marks question, right? This also means that CCT could adapt quickly to the changing wants, needs and demands of the consumer. So when you have the funds easily accessible to you, the business can immediately address to the demands of the consumers, which is always changing. And then I have added another point, which is quite obvious, and I've used the word here. Moreover, it's a linking word, it's a transitional word. Retained profit does not incur any interest because it's with you. You're not taking a loan. There is no interest rate. So there is no cost of borrowing. Okay, so I could also write I obviously, when I write answers, I write extra points. It's for the students. Now, if you want, you can deduct 1 point or 2. It's your wish, right? So I'll just write here, there is no cost of borrowing, okay, which could be a huge relief for the business. Okay, so these are my keywords, and you can see CCT. So this means again I have applied AO2 application, and these parts are analysis. Okay, so this is AO3 analysis. This is also AO3 analysis, which means I'm developing the point, right? Okay. Um, okay. Now we need to write some negative aspects of it. So we'll go and we'll use a contrasting word. We could say, in contrary. Okay. So I'm pretty much done talking about the disadvantages of retained profit. So let's have a look. In contrary, so I've used another contrasting word. In contrary, sufficient amount of retained profit may not be available in the business. This is particularly true for new businesses. So, which means new businesses may not have enough money, enough capital. Let's say it's not possible to have 10 crores or 20 crores available in a new business. That could happen for an old business, but not for new businesses. And then I've used CCT again. CCT will not have any extra funds to cover costs in case of emergencies and unforeseen circumstances if they decide to use retained profit. Okay, so if there's an emergency, if there's any unforeseen circumstances, there could be so many things happening, right? There could be an accident, machines can break down, and CCT would require money, right? So in case of that, if they use all the retained profit, there won't be any money left, right? In case of emergency. So we are done with that. And now we need to give our opinion. Yeah, we need to give our opinion. So, however, or not however, sorry, so we could write according. Okay, so I'm pretty much done. So again, okay, so let's talk about this. See, according to my point of view, it's a good statement to make. CCT application should choose option 1, selling assets. Selling assets would allow CCT to use its resources more productively and efficiently. Okay, that's analysis. And then I've gone further and explained the point, which is it will help to minimize wastage and reduce the risk of borrowing money or using retained profit. And then I've also talked about why they shouldn't use retained profit. Retained profit should not be used in the business for emergencies, future use, and further expansion. Okay, so you could see that's okay. This is AO2 application. This is AO3 analysis. This is also AO3 analysis. And then, of course, AO4, my opinion is here, evaluation is here. AO4 evaluation is here, right? That's fine. AO4 evaluation is here, right? And even here, okay, so let's have a look. In contrary, sufficient amount of written profit may not be available in the business. Okay, so this is AO3 analysis, AO3 analysis. Okay, now let's highlight everything. So I have solved the entire question for you. Again, it might look a bit lengthy to you. It's fine if you want to reduce some points. You could reduce some points from here, these parts, okay? You could reduce some points from here and put it in evaluation. You could reduce some points here and put it in evaluation. It's fine. But as a teacher, I think it's my responsibility to give you as many points as I can. You could reduce 1 or 2 points. It is possible because I have written extra. So this is how you write a 9-mark question. And if I have to summarize, what you need to do is there will be 2 options, right? Selling assets. So you need to talk about the advantages and then disadvantages, right? Oh, 1 or 2 advantages, 1 or 2 disadvantages. Same with retained profit. You need to write advantages 1 or 2 and then disadvantages 1 or 2. Yeah, that's it. And then you need to give your opinion. And of course, when you give your opinion, you have to justify. Again, the space here is not enough. I know that you can take extra paper from British Council, but then you could minimize this answer, reduce some points, okay, and then put it here, right? Okay, there we go. I'll be back with more videos to help you out during the exam. Let me know how it goes. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you.